Hey kids, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I am glad you're here. Today we're going to do another knife comparison, kind of a side-by-side EDC knife battle, which is really totally subjective except for a few different objective categories here. But like I say, all views are purely subjective and hold no scientific value. I am an idiot, and these are my opinions on these two knives that I own, both of which I bought, both of which are killer knives. So just off the bat, they're both winners. They're a little different, and we're just going to kind of compare them and talk about them. Before we get started, though, I do want to say thank you to the channel members. I appreciate each and every one of you. I want to say thank you for anyone who subscribes to the channel and comes in to watch the Knife the EDC content. Thank you so much. And for just anyone who happens upon the channel and watches a video or two, checks it out, I appreciate you all. So what we've got here is we've got a Jakeb Creates Chikadee in MagnaCut, and we have a Bark River Micro Canadian in 3V. Both little, I'm going to call them, I think they're 5-inch knives. Let's see, 5 and 5. So they're both 5-inch knives, but they're set up totally different, right? They both do the same thing for me, which enhance my primary carry, and I use them to open boxes, cut cat food bags, things like that. Nothing hardcore. What they're probably designed for, I use them for EDC tasks. So what we do here is I will take and I will look at, for example, the price, because that will come into value. So the Chikadee, I didn't pay this for it because I got it on the secondary market, but they list out for right around 225 bucks. If you go to Bark River's website, or if you look at the retail on DLTs where I got this, it lists, this one has micarta handle and a green G10 liner in 3V. It lists for $219, however, DLT had it on sale for $164.96. So if we look at these comparatively at what I would consider map to map, roughly 225, 219. If we're looking at 225 to 164, we're right around, what, 75 difference? But this is more of a production knife, even though it's a U.S. manufactured knife, where this is a small batch. So for this study, so to speak, this non-scientific study, I'm just going to go off the 219 and 225 and think that they're both kind of in that same range for what you're looking at. So when we look at materials, I should have put another on here. Fit, finish, which is a little misleading here too, because we're going to see here when we look at materials, the Jakeb Creates comes with a MagnaCut full tang blade, right? G10 handles. I have it in an Oak City leather sheath, which is great, but when I bought it, it would have come with a Kydex sheath, right? So you get a Kydex sheath for materials, you get MagnaCut blade, and you get G10 handles that are screwed on. So when I look at the materials for the Bark River Micro Canadian, I get a full tang 3V blade. I get micarta handles that are pinned together with a lanyard tube. I also get an added G10 liner between the scale and the blade, and I get this little leather pocket dropper slash high belt sheath. So I'm getting a leather sheath, I'm getting full tang 3V blade, I'm getting micarta pins. So when I look at that material wise, I have to give that to the Micro Canadian. So we'll give a point to the Micro Canadian. Fit and finish, which really falls under materials, but it doesn't. So both of these knives are put together beautifully. There is no displacement in the handles. These are screwed on. These are pinned. This has a very sharp spine for striking a ferro rod, This has a not quite a sharp spine, but it's not designed for that, right? So you can't compare anything except fit and finish. So when I look at fit and finish, I don't see any flaws in the scales where they join. The plunge grinds on both of these are perfectly even. This is a convex grind. This is a Kyle Coonley sharpened flat grind. Different construction, screw construction to pin construction. But when I look at these two knives, I can't say one is better fit and finish than the other. So that's where I go in and I put draw. So that's a draw. Micro Canadian has one for materials. Now we go to ergonomics. Ergonomics, unfortunately on this one, is easy to see why. It's going to come back and probably haunt it down the road. But the Micro Canadian, even though they're both 5 inches long, the Chikadee has a very short 3-finger handle, right? It's great for an EDC knife. So much so I've got 3 of these in different blade steels. I love this little knife. However, ergonomically, I get 3 fingers. I have no lanyard tube if I wanted a lanyard, but my grip is limited. If you see the Micro Canadian, it integrates a choil into that 3V blade. I can get a full 4 fingers on it, cover that blade completely on that flat spine, and I've got a place for a lanyard if I wanted to put a little tail on it. So looking at these two guys, ergonomically, in terms of how they fit in my hand, that again is going to go to the Micro Canadian without question. So carry. This is going to be a little subjective, right? So the Bark River comes with this really nice leather sheath, right? If I want to, I can put an ulti-clip there. I have to get special hardware, but I can put an ulti-clip or I can just drop this in my pocket. The Chikadee comes with this sheath, like all my Chikadees do. I've picked up a couple of Oak City leather slips because I like a pocket dropper. So this is a pocket dropper, but I really can't compare this because I didn't buy it with the knife. So this sheath has a horizontal strap on it right now because it gives me the flexibility to carry it right at my belt buckle to the right of it at about 12-15, and it's a great appendix carry knife, right? But I like pocket droppers. So I've got other Chikadees that have a small deep concealment carry clip or an ulti clip, which allows me to drop this in my pocket. So I've got several different ways that I can carry this. Not very easy for me to carry this horizontally, right? And our next level, the retention, even though this retention is very good, it's not locked in like the Chikadee is in the Kydex. Now for retention, the Chikadee and the Oak City, they're both fine, right? So what I'm going to do is on the carry options, the sheath that it came with, the Kydex, I'm going to give that to the Chikadee because I have more flexibility in how I set that Kydex up. Retention, since I'm not carrying it in the Kydex, I'm carrying it in Oak City leather slip. These are both very good at retaining the knife, right? I wouldn't necessarily want to do cartwheels or go swimming with them. They're not going to lock it in like Kydex, but they lock the knife in fine and they make it easy to draw. So on that one, they're going to get a draw because again, there's not a distinct advantage between one or the other. Now, aesthetics is where we come into something that is very subjective, right? Do you like a sharp pointy knife? Do you like kind of a Nessmuk small bushcrafting style knife? When I look at aesthetics, I'm looking at the lines of all the knife. I have 3 Chikadees. I love this knife, but it's very basic in its knife shape. I appreciate that about it. That's why I have 3 of them. That's why it's probably my favorite or one of my favorite small EDC knives. However, if I'm just taking a step back and going aesthetically, when I look at these 2 knives, which one's more pleasing to me? Something about the Micro Canadian, because of the lines, because of the way the blade flares out and the uniqueness, i.e. it doesn't look like a basic knife that I really am attracted to, but it's aesthetically pleasing to the eye. It's got curves, it's got softness, it's got a little bit more soul, in my opinion. Very subjective. I give the aesthetics to the Micro Canadian. Then we go to sliciness. Now the Bark River is a very slicey knife. It's got a shorter blade because we've got our tang that work into our blade, and we've got a much shorter blade, but we've got a very slicey blade. It is a convex ground blade. It is thick, like is the Chikadee. However, the Chikadee is a freaking laser beam, partially because Kyle Coonley put this edge on it, but I've got two others. I don't have them out here. One of them's 20CV, the other one's S90V, and they are slicey. I say there is no comparison in the sliciness between the two, so I'm going to give the Chikadee the sliciness award, which brings us to the durability award. And again, award is very subjective because I have not tried to break either of these knives, but I'm looking at a 3V and I'm looking at a MagnaCut blade, and I know that what 3V gives up in stainlessness, and even though MagnaCut's very much balanced, I have to think that with this short blade, with the way that this grip's handled, with the way that this blade, if I was putting lateral pressure on either of these, dropping them, which one's going to be more likely to chip? This is not scientific. This is just me thinking. Looking at the composition of them, the 3V is a little bit thicker. I think 3V is going to be a little tougher than the MagnaCut personally, but again, let's go back to my main point. I am an idiot. I'm going to give the durability to the Micro Canadian. So, we come down to our final category here. And again, like I said at the beginning of this video, both of these knives, in my opinion, are mad winners. They're great knives. I could recommend either one of them. Jakeb creates Chikadees are harder to get. You've kind of got to get them on a drop or when they go to River's Edge Cutlery. And the Micro Canadians, they come in batches where there might be 30 or 40 that drop at DLT. They're all different handle materials. They're all going to vary a little bit in price, which is a better value. Okay, so I know that this is a very basic knife that is laser jet aided cut out, but it's one guy that's making it. I know this knife is also laser jetted, CNC aided, and it's made by a bigger group of people. I can't say that this knife is not as good of a knife as the Chikadee. What I can say is, even at $164.96, which we decided we were going to use the MAP price, I look at this as a small batch knife. I'm not going to give a win to either one on value. I think they're both, for what they are, USA made, small EDC fixed blades, good value if that's what you're into. I'm into small fixed blades. Not everybody else is. I'm starting to be more and more focused on American fixed blades, and I know you can get some that are less expensive. I chose these two for the way that they look, the way that they perform, the way that they were small and compact. So if we're looking at this through my non-scientific chart, it's a landslide. The Micro Canadian came out with 4. The Chikadee came out with 2, and then we had 1, 2, 3 pushes, right? So what could have changed that is if we determined that the Chikadee was a better value, that the retention in the sheath was better in one than the other, and if we kept it in Kydex, let's say we said it was in Kydex and the retention was better, you're still going to only be 3 to 4. So for this particular little non-scientific video, the Bark River comes out barely on top. Both fantastic knives. You've got 2 USA made 5-inch winners. One's more blade than handle. The other's more handle than blade. How much blade do you need, guys? I can get by with that right there with just FYI. That is a 2-inch blade with an 1 3/4 inch cutting area. This has a 2 1/4 inch cutting area, and it's almost a 2.5 inch blade. So you really just need to decide, what do you prefer, right? Do you want blade at the price of handle, or do you want a little extra handle at the price of blade? And is 5 inches something that you want in a small knife? I love it. I mean, I think I carry a slip joint, even though I don't cut with it that much. I carry my primary folder, but a small EDC fixie works for me. Guys, thank you for watching. If you're so inclined and you hadn't had a chance yet, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon, please. Hit the like button, but most importantly, look out for the guy or gal to your left. Look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. Go forward with love in your hearts and choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.